One needs one last lesson.
Good morning and welcome to Season 2 of KTZed Redemption. Over here where it's always morning, even in the afternoon. And I mean, with all the bright light that's on outside now, it's definitely seeming like it's a lot more morning in the afternoon. I am your host, Jay Edgar, and I'm joined on the other side of the screen by the wonderful KTZed. Katie, you are much better dressed with one accessory this week.
I mean, when somebody gives you a tiara, you have to wear it.
Apparently you do. Yeah, I looked at that at one point. I'm like, man, I can't just sit here and be a schlub in a t-shirt here. I didn't even got dressed today. I told them on a contemporary this morning. I didn't sleep I slept for an hour when I first went to bed, and something rose me back up, and I was awake until, well, I did contemporary in the morning. So I went right back to bed and got up pretty much just in time to do show prep again. So I was sitting here in a t-shirt and athletic shorts up until 5:26.
Well, I'm glad you put a shirt on for me. I appreciate it.
And pants.
Wonderful.
So we are here. We've got a lot to get to today, too. This is going to be, well, it's not going to be as Ukraine-centric as some of the shows that we've had have been, so definitely come back and check that out. But we do have a lot to get to here today over here on Contemporary. It's been a week, definitely. Some stuff is changing, some stuff is moving. Hey, we might get a law that makes sense out of Congress coming up here. So that could be fun. That could be interesting. A law that makes sense.
No way.
Are you prepared for such a thing? But we have got a lot of stuff to go over here today. And before we get started, we can even talk a little bit about the wedding that you have here. But let's look over the format of what we've got in here today. This week, we got confirmation that the Hunter laptop is indeed real, and that didn't come from The Guardian or anything else like that, or the Daily Mail, or any of the other ones that they tell us are propaganda pieces. That came right from the New York Times. 22 paragraphs in, but it came right from the New York Times. So we'll talk.
Yeah, I found it interesting that they waited till the middle of the article to tell us about it.
Yeah, well, they figure that most people stop reading after 7 paragraphs, so we'll go over that. We'll talk just a bit about what's going on with there. The Ukraine situation drags on mysteriously, because in any other universe, Russia would have just rolled right over Ukraine, so we'll talk just a bit about what's going on there. Some of the updates that are going on with that. The Elon Musk tweet that you mentioned last week, I found an article about that, so we'll talk a bit about there, and, maybe a nice response from one of the not from one of the TikTokers, but from somebody on our side to one of the TikTokers that Biden has unceremoniously hired to tell us about why gas prices are really bad. Interesting debate this week. Daylight savings time, a bill to leave that permanently on, so we're always in spring ahead mode all year round at this point, passed in the Senate, and there's talks about it passing in the House too. So we'll talk just a bit about that and what's going on with that, and what we think about what's going on with that. And COVID might have returned. It looks like China is locking down. Will it do it here? I don't know. It's an election year, but we'll talk just a bit about that. Plus, I've got a really, really good surprise stupidity. You might have known about this one. This one was pretty widely spread, but it's still funny. It's still very, very funny here. So we'll close out the show with that over here on Contemporary. Thanks, or KTZed Redemption, not contemporary. It's not 7 o'clock in the morning. It feels like it because I've been sleeping all day, but it is not 7 o'clock in the morning. In fact, it is 5:30 in the afternoon over here on KTZed Redemption. Thank you very much for checking us out live over on YouTube, DLive, Twitch. We will be replays on Rumble, but check us out live on all those platforms. Check us out on my Facebook as well. You can find that in there. Check out all the links in the chat you'll be seeing through here. Chat amongst yourselves. We will take questions in between topics as we say hi to everybody too. So make sure you get a name in there. And if you have any questions about anything we're talking about, get in there. If you can't catch us live, catch us back on demand over on YouTube and over on BitChute and Rumble. Go check us out on all those platforms. Those are all linked in the description. You can find us in any of those places, especially if you don't want to give YouTube the money or the view. So go and check us out in all those places. And lastly, check out turnsofpagesproductions.com. That'll be coming out in the near future. We got to get into the group chat and actually start to discuss a strategy here, because in just a couple weeks, I know we were talking about this off mic, because there's apparently some point out there that there might be a name doc somewhere, but neither of us could find it. We both went digging, but neither of us could find it. But I will be doing a name docs of myself coming up on the Brian Nichols show in the early part of April. So go and check that out, because that's the only way we can take money off Give, Send, Go. And we do need some help to get this started. So definitely go and check that out. Check out all the programs: Daily Ignoramus, Porch Boys, Breakdown with Birkenhoff, R-Rated Conservative, a new upcoming project with Britt Salt and Sean Hickman. Go check all that out. And a new show will be joining us on launch, a new show that is not coming over from Freedom Scoop. So go and check all those programs out as well. How was the wedding? Other than the fact that you have a crown now.
I mean, it was all worth it to get this pink tiara. It was a lot of work, but I'm so happy that my sister found her person, and I hope that they will have many, many happy years together.
Now, I meant to ask you this, but because I know that you are not local originally to where I am.
Oh, yeah, no.
Was this down by you, or is this up here?
It was down by me.
Okay.
And funny story, they actually met at a podcast meetup of a show that you used to watch. That's how they met. So, the internet is bringing people together. He's originally from another state. She's originally from another state. They both ended up here, and they were able to meet up through a common politics, I guess. Find somebody that you could talk about politics with.
It's an interesting thought, but yeah, definitely. I've not been finding a lot of that around here lately, but hey, something might be changing up here in the near future too. We'll see what happens with that. All right, let's talk about some news though, because that's going to be our big thing today. Bunch of news happening, just some catch up and stuff that didn't really fit in any of the main topics this week, as we always do. So let's have a look at that. And I want to start today with a video that you sent me that was actually removed from YouTube by the time I went off and saw that. But I did some digging, and I found it on New York Daily News, of all places, and it's still up there. So just a little bit of a background off this. Yonkers man attacks Asian woman, striking her more than 125 times. Go check out Twitch, DLive, or my Facebook page, because this actually might get us this might get us taken down. So go check out one of those other platforms here to see if you can catch up with us. But warning, there's graphic violence in this video. Some of the description: a hulking 42-year-old man is facing attempted murder charges as a hate crime on Tuesday after repeatedly pummeling a 67-year-old Asian woman in the vestibule of her Yonkers building, authorities said. Which is weird for me now, because I never knew that Yonkers was part of New York. I thought it was a department store.
Really?
Yeah, I was older than I would like to admit to before I figured out that it was a part of New York City.
Huh.
I was in my 20s.
Interesting.
Tamal Esco was caught on camera punching the helpless woman more than 125 times during the unprovoked assault last Friday, according to Yonkers police. He had called the victim an Asian bitch as she walked past him with a shopping cart, but the woman ignored the hateful insult, police said. Now, there is no major sound to this video, but there's a great big warning off of there, so this might disturb some viewers. Warning, graphic violence. Let's watch. Yeah, and the woman seems to be minding her own business, masked and all.
Yeah. She's tiny too. Look at how slight her build is.
Hmm. Just out of nowhere, just sneak attack too.
Yeah. That's not a man right there. That's not a man.
I don't know if it's a distortion from the camera that's making it, because he looks like he's not really putting his all into it either.
Well,
His
he
pants are
broke her
falling off his
face.
ass.
So,
Yeah, but that
although,
might have been just in the first one.
or it could have also been when he stomps her head at the end. Sorry for the spoiler. Um,
Yeah, we're not going to watch till the end, so we're not going to
but
see that spoiler, but
if any man that I know that hit a woman of that age and that size 125 times, that woman would be dead. So he's a pussy and not a man. And look, he's getting winded. He can't
yeah.
even do it. This is his workout for the day. But I was happy to see, I don't believe in hate crimes, but I was happy to see that he is being charged with a hate crime because it usually doesn't work that way.
Right. So we see that, yeah, he'll be in on a hate crime. And I mean, there's video evidence right there. I don't know if there's any provocation of this. I don't believe that there would be off of something like this. But I mean, we keep seeing stuff like this around too.
Yeah. There is a lot of black on Asian unprovoked attacks and a black on everybody, honestly, unprovoked. And it rarely, I mean, it rarely goes the other way. I have not seen the knockout game done by anyone but this community, and they need to look within themselves and change their own community. There's like it's not up to us to help it.
Yeah. Um, Speaking of Asian things happening, breaking this morning, Chinese airliner carrying 132 people crashes in southern Guangxi region.
That was a really good segue.
A China Eastern Airlines jetliner carrying 132 people crashed in the mountains in southern China's Guangxi region on Monday afternoon, according to country's Civil Aviation Administration. The Boeing 737 was en route from the southwestern city of Kunming to Guangzhou when it lost contact over the city of Wuzhou. On board were 123 passengers and 9 crew members. CAAC said in a statement posted online. Rescue efforts were underway at the scene of the crash, but there was no immediate details on the possible cause or the number of casualties. Eastern Chinese officials offered its condolences to those who were killed in the incident without confirming any death toll. So, and we can see in some of the CNN video for this here, we'll check out a little bit of this, but they're into the mountains there. So launching a rescue effort.
Right, breaking overnight, a Chinese airliner with one...
Shut up. Is in and of itself a problem just to get the workers out to there. I mean, you can see some of that over on the side of the screen. They're not in the planes.
Well, that's crazy video. I had not seen this because I've been at work all day. But that's crazy video.
Yeah. No word on the cause, no word on how many casualties there actually are, but I'll probably be watching because I'm sure they're going to talk about this more coming up here. So we'll watch into this. We might have an update on this next week. Another one, actually, for F's in the chat here. 2 troopers killed in a crash on I-95 in South Philadelphia are identified. So these are the troopers in here. This is an update from the past week, but it looks like state troopers were helping a man into the cruiser who allegedly had been walking on the side of I-95 in the middle of the night. We're helping him into the cruiser, and in the midst of doing so, a woman in a Chevy Trax slammed into the squad car and ripped the doors off.
Oh my God.
Killing both troopers, and I believe it was a killing of the man they were trying to help into the car too. I believe he died as well. The driver of the striking vehicle remained at the scene. State police said they're conducting an investigation that's DUI related. No charges have been filed at this time. But yeah, she killed 2 people. And I mean, the Chevrolet was decimated.
Yeah, look at that. Imagine how much worse. I mean, I guess it couldn't get much worse since everyone died. But if she was driving like a big metal car instead of that little plastic car.
So, and they even did the big convoy off of this, which was a little bit weird to me because usually they do that in the funeral procession, not when they're taking somebody to the morgue. But that was surprising. I didn't quite expect
They'll probably
that,
do it again.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, that happened there. The two troopers were Martin F. Mack III and Brandon T. Siska. They had not been identified as I read this morning. So condolences to the families of both the troopers and to the man they were helping into the car. That person has not been identified at this time. And we will continue on. Here's some good news after those two black pills. A GOP bill would eliminate the Biden ATF's database on gun sales. From Chris Pandolfo. Congressional Republicans have introduced a bill that would eliminate the federal government's database of firearms purchases and prevent the Biden admin from collecting data on gun sales from dealers who go out of business. And the people rejoiced.
There shouldn't have been a database to start with.
Yeah, with the FBI, I know that they do that to keep track of what happens in shops that they deem that would not have been as responsible. But yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, this is why you should only buy firearms on the black market.
We call that the African American market around here.
Sorry, a market of color.
The proposed legislation is called the No Retaining Every Gun in a System That Restricts Your Rights Act because apparently the Republicans can't get all the acronyms like Democrats can. And it was introduced by Michael Cloud of Texas, who said the bill is designed to prevent the federal government from creating a firearms registry, which is a good thing because we don't need one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. That shouldn't even be on the table. The Second Amendment says shall not be infringed.
But it also says a well-regulated militia, not the rednecks with the gun.
Yeah, that is the militia.
I know, but that's what they always bring back. More from the Blaze. Nancy Pelosi claims government spending is reducing the national debt.
Is she retarded?
There's video.
Yes, she is.
Force development and all of that. One other point I will make about it is that what we are doing in our legislation, what we would do in the Build Back Better, 17 Nobel laureates in economics said that legislation does not increase inflation. It is non-inflationary because of the way it is written. The imprimatur, if you get it, the kiss of death if you don't, the Joint Tax Committee has said that the BBB would add $100 billion so that is subtracted from the national debt, saves $100 billion.
Go ahead.
What the hell is she talking about?
I don't think she knows.
Was that supposed to be coherent?
I don't know. I don't know if the circuits were down, if she was having a server error, connection error, or something like that. But
also, every time she speaks, I'm just waiting for her dentures to fly out again. It just sounds like they're always on the verge of just flying out of her mouth. Yep.
You caught that too, huh?
Yeah, every time. It's just every time she speaks. Every single time.
So, yeah, apparently that'll save $100 billion and that'll come right out of the national debt. These are the people that are running the decisions that are being made in the country right now.
Why, you're making me want to drink, Ed. What are you doing? Plane crashes and this bullshit?
Well, the worst part of it is she's getting rich off stock trades, too. Like, she understands finance.
Of course.
And you could tell just in that little speech, she didn't even believe what she was saying.
No, she was incoherent. Incoherent rambling is what that was. It doesn't make any sense.
I got another black pill for you, unfortunately. So, the Rittenhouse gun has been destroyed.
Yeah.
Allegedly. I'm willing to bet that the actual Rittenhouse gun is a trophy on some sheriff's deputy's mantle right now, and they just went to the gun store and picked up the random M&P and shoved it in.
I'm a conspiracy theorist as good as the rest of them, but I really think that this was the one.
You think so? Well, we'll watch it here. And by the way, the machine that they use to shred the gun has got the cringiest fucking sticker in the world on it. We'll look at that in a second here. But let's watch.
Okay, and begin.
Ready?
All right. All right, contents of the box. We have one sight mark, red dot sight, one Magpul PMag, 30 rounder, and
Why did they gotta shred the optics?
Smith & Wesson.
Allegedly, it's because that's what he requested.
Oh, the optics?
Yeah,
So dumb.
because Kyle requested it. Remember?
He requested his gun be shredded, but you really have to shred the magazine and the optics?
Apparently.
I guess so.
M&P
All right, go ahead, get it over with.
AR-15, serial number TF20210. Crime lab numbers here. Unit numbers of the officers from Kenosha bringing the weapon there. Okay.
Ms. Williams, you ever seen that firearm?
Yes, I recognize this as the firearm that I analyzed for case number R202992. Item designation is item A. My initials are on this firearm, HAW, as well as the date that I analyzed this specific firearm, which was 12/1 of 2020.
And do you recognize that weapon to be the weapon you examined in the Kyle Rittenhouse case?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so pursuant to an agreement between both parties and approved by the court, the Rittenhouse rifle will be destroyed at the State Crime Laboratory on this 25th day of February 2022 by mechanical shredding.
So,
And by the way, of course there would be the Shredder on there from the Ninja Turtles.
Actually, like kind of like that.
And there it is. The magazine, the rifle, the sights, they are no more.
That's so sad. I mean, I don't even care that it's the Rittenhouse gun. It just to see any. I mean, that was a basically brand new AR, just getting destroyed.
Yeah.
Like this is what we all have to look forward to when we go the way of Australia.
Yeah, but Australia didn't recover as many guns as they had on the streets.
Oh, I know. I mean, I lost all my guns last year in a boating accident, so you know.
Let's talk some content creator news here from the Post Millennial. Breaking: bomb squad on the scene at Tim Pool's studio. Tim Pool reported the bomb squad is at his studio where he records Timcast IRL along with other properties that are part of the Tim Pool content universe. Yeah, he's completely grassroots too. He'll tell you every day.
Yeah.
Poole said that the events will not be filmed due to security reasons as recommended by police. He said on air, as they discussed the incident, that there was an actual reason that the bomb squad was deployed, and he was concerned that he might hear the house shake. Let's listen.
We were swatted 6 times. Now we've had an incident where the bomb squad's been deployed, and I can't go into details, but there is a reason for why they're deployed. It wasn't the same as a swatting. Like, something actually happened. We have to be careful about discussing the full details. But whatever happened was serious enough where they actually called reinforcements. So, like, I'm actually worried we're going to hear, the house shake or something like that. Yeah, like, there may actually be something about to happen.
That's why I'm asking people pray. I mean, if you pray the rosary, but...
So, yeah, while they were live, of course, the bomb squad was there, too.
Yeah, this poor guy, I mean, it seems like it's like once a month for the last, like, since the beginning of the year. I think the first swatting was actually when you were here visiting.
Yes, it was.
That first one happened. Yeah. So since you came down to visit me, this is the 3rd time, 4th time, something like that.
6 swattings and then 1 bomb squad call.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, his address is out there. He either needs to move or he needs to come to some sort of agreement with the police to where they call him first.
I think on this one, they were to an agreement of some sort.
Yeah.
But he called them because there actually was something going on with that this time, according to what he said off of that.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
No details have been released yet. They seem to know who did it, what's going on with this, but nothing has been found. But yeah, it's a little bit scary. And, I've come to an agreement with the local town cops here, and just in case.
Yeah. I don't need to come to a local agreement. I have a backup in the next room, so we're good.
All right. A little bit of an update on the Don't Say Gay bill, so-called here. Disney workers call for walkouts over response to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill. Coming from Market Watch, decrying lack of action, a group of Walt Disney Company employees is calling for a series of walkouts next week to protest the company's response to a Florida bill that would restrict discussions about sexual orientation and gender identity in classrooms to children in pre-K through grade 3, but they don't tell you that. Organizers are urging Disney workers to stage brief walkouts starting today and over the next 4 weeks, during scheduled break periods culminating in full-stage walkout on March 22nd, where employees will not work or attend meetings. On its website, organizers said the Disney LGBTQIA plus IIPARWXYZ community and their allies are determined to take a stand against the bill, which they claim corporate leadership has utterly failed to do.
They have not read this bill. This bill does not go far enough.
I know.
Why would anybody protest that? Like, why would anybody protest this? There's no way any of these people that are organizing this or that are going to walk out have read the thing.
I'm guessing a lot of them don't have kids in this age range either.
That doesn't even matter. I don't have kids in that age range, but I have a say about it. I am a citizen. I pay my taxes that goes to the schools. So, I don't even care if they have kids, but I care that they haven't read the thing. And what they're walking out is do they understand that them walking out or having a protest of any kind is them supporting pedophilia?
Well, not only that, I can't imagine that this goes over well at all either, because, there's plenty of workforce in Florida to pull from, as far as I understand. And, these are people who aren't allowed to take off the animal head if they puke in the fucking head.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You think Disney gives a fuck what they have to say? I'm sorry.
Not at all. Not at all. I would have to think anybody that I've known I know several people that have worked for Disney, and it's always a short time period thing. They don't want to stay there forever. They want to have Disney on their resume, and then they GTFO.
Yeah. This one is funny. A SoCal city may declare Chick-Fil-A restaurant a public nuisance over drive-through line. Reading from NBC4, a Southern California city is declaring Chick-Fil-A restaurant a public nuisance due to traffic safety issues caused by the location's drive-through line. You have Chick-fil-A down the road from you, don't you?
I do.
That's what I thought. Did the lines ever get like wrapped around the building, or?
You cannot swing a dead cat without hitting a Chick-fil-A around here. Yes, at lunchtime they do, but it moves so fast. Like they're so proficient at that drive-through lane.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like I've had to sit in a Chick-fil-A drive-through line for a while, but still, it's like when you see it wrapped, because I've sat in Madison. The one that they just put up in Janesville. I've never sat in a line for that, but I just go in the building at that point. But in Madison, I've sat in the drive-through line.
When I worked in the city, the Chick-fil-A that was down there in Atlanta inside the perimeter, the line would wrap around the building and then go out onto the street, and they would have a cop there directing traffic. That's like this was an everyday at lunchtime sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, they got smart with the one in Janesville because they put it right next to the Farm and Fleet. And they, instead of having the drive-through line go out to the road, it's actually, they put cones up and direct it, and they came with an easement with Farm and Fleet. So the drive-through line zigzags through the parking lot, but I mean, it stretches all the way across the parking lot when it gets busy. I've seen it. It's insanity to me. It's crazy. But apparently, because this building used to be a Burger King, they didn't have such easements in place for that. So yeah, when they line up like that, they just go out in the street, which the one in Madison, I've actually seen them do that. They go up, luckily it's not the main street, it's just on regular, on East Wash, but they don't go down into East Wash, they go up to one of the side streets and get in a line there, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, at Chick-fil-A, even when it does get busy, they're super proficient, and it doesn't stay, when the line gets backed up like that, it's just because all the people got there at the same time, and it doesn't stay that way. So, I mean, they're just looking for a reason to complain about Chick-fil-A, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably. Leaked GOP messaging guide urges senators to avoid Democrat-style attacks on Ketanji Brown Jackson, and yet they do anyway.
Yeah.
This comes to us from the Daily Wire. Senators should avoid vicious personal attacks Democrats leverage at conservative Supreme Court nominees when conducting Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearings. A leaked GOP messaging guide obtained by the Daily Wire shows, and yet they're doing it anyway.
Yep.
During Kavanaugh's confirmation, Democrats lost the battle of public opinion when they launched vicious personal attacks against him and paid for it electorally, said a messaging guide issued by Republican Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn, the only female Republican senator on the Judiciary Committee. We all know how you feel about that.
She shouldn't be there, but I mean, we've gone over this the last few weeks in a row. We're not going to get anyone better than this chick, so put her through.
That guide distributed to attendees of a conservative women's strategy session with the Independent Women's Law Center, which took place Tuesday afternoon on Capitol Hill, references the onslaught of personal and professional attacks leveraged against Amy Coney Barrett and Brett Kavanaugh. During the confirmation hearings, Democrats and activists accused both justices of being radically pro-life and seeking to overturn Roe v. Wade. Kavanaugh was accused of a slew of sexual assaults with little to no supporting evidence, and critics suggested that Barrett adopted her black children for nefarious reasons.
They're just looking for anything to discredit this woman, just like they do with every Supreme Court justice that ever gets nominated ever. It's going back our entire lifetimes and probably before that. Even before I was paying attention, there was, what's his name?
Clarence Thomas.
Yes, that's the one. Clarence Thomas with the Anita Brown is her name? Anita Brown? I'm pulling that up.
I believe it was Anita Hill.
Anita Hill, yes, you're correct. Anita Hill, like that whole debacle, and it's just every single one of them, every time.
So yeah, I think that they should, but of course we read on Twitter, now we see that this is an activist, and this is, she doesn't believe in the Constitution, and she had questionable child connections and child porn cases and this. I'm like, just confirm her.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think any of this is true. Last week it was something about she hosted a Nazi at one point or something.
Yep.
It's just every week, I think, until she's confirmed, we're going to have another story about some BS that she did in her past or something like that.
We got some news about the Proud Boys, I'm sorry. Prosecutors detail Miami Proud Boys leaders' alleged plan to storm the Capitol. The leader of the far-right Proud Boys had planned with other members to storm the Capitol the days leading up to the violent January 6th selfie fest, according to new paperwork filed with prosecutors. Monday's court filing comes as prosecutors were in Miami federal court Tuesday and argued that Tarrio should remain behind bars while he awaits trial on conspiracy charges for his suspected role in the coordinated attack. I'm not even going to get into commentary on that sentence right there. On the U.S. Capitol to stop Congress from certifying Democrat Joe Biden's electoral victory. Allegedly, according to this article, Tarrio had a plan to come and storm the Capitol, but it wasn't supposed to be carried out that day.
Like, I thought, didn't he already serve his sentence and is out of prison now?
No, apparently he's still awaiting
again?
trial. Either he's still awaiting trial or they're trying to do something on a federal level because they couldn't get him on local charges. I have no idea.
I don't think any of the charges from January 6th were local. I want to look into this because I swear that this guy had got sentenced, served his sentence, and is out now. Maybe he just got arrested and got bailed out. And I could have it mixed up in my brain. But if they're just tacking on charges, because normally when you do something one day, let's say there's a bunch of charges, they'll run the sentences concurrently. So that way it doesn't drag it out. So if they're waiting for him to serve a sentence and then charging another charge and then waiting for him to serve a sentence, and that's kind of BS.
Oh, that's way BS.
Yeah.
But I think Tarrio kind of glows too, so I don't lose a lot of sleep over this one.
Yeah, I think what happened is he's not giving up names or something like that, which is why they're tacking on sentences.
Here's the crime of the century for Women's History Month. The Senate fails to advance Paycheck Fairness Act amid GOP opposition. Reading from CNN. The Senate on Tuesday failed to advance the Paycheck Fairness Act, legislation aimed at addressing the gender wage gap that is a top agenda item for Democrats, but faces Republican opposition. A procedural vote to move forward with consideration of the legislation failed by a vote of 49 to 50, falling short of the 60-vote threshold needed to succeed. Go ahead.
Why would we need this bill? Like, there's real problems in the world. The bills that they're working on right now are all a little bit ridiculous. We need this bill as much as we need that anti-lynching bill that passed a little while ago. Like, shit's already illegal. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's already illegal not to pay somebody. And this is, again, when they talk about the wage gap, it's the wages of every man in the country versus the wages of every woman in the country divided by the number of each.
Exactly.
Not taking anything else into account.
Anything new. We learned this from your girlfriend, Shoe on Head, years ago, you know?
Hold on, I'm dreaming right now because now you got me excited.
Oh my God.
But no, I mean, they keep trying to do these procedural votes off of nothing. The same things that they come back and do every year.
Yeah, it's because midterms are coming up and this looks good on their, for their ads. This is what all of these bills are. This daylight savings time bill, which I do agree with and think we need. We'll get to that later. But that and the anti-lynching bill and this bill, this is all to put in their ads so they get reelected at midterms.
Speaking of what's coming up here on midterms and coming out of the government, new Secret Service report details growing incel terrorism threat. I wish that was a joke headline. The federal government on Tuesday released a study of growing terrorism threat from men who call themselves anti-feminists or involuntary celibates and draw motivation for violence from their inability to develop relationships with women. Since 2014, attacks inspired by the incel movement spanning the U.S. and Canada have left dozens dead.
I can think of two such cases.
This article goes through and details the story of a guy who went to a bar and there were plenty of warning signs about it too, and went and shut up the place. Because, I mean, his issues go all the way back to middle school when he was writing fanfic about his classmates and how to kill them all.
I mean,
so this guy had bigger problems than just incel.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. All of these shooters have deep-rooted psychological problems, and most of them are on some sort of drugs. That causes this. That it makes them homicidal, suicidal or homicidal. is a side effect of these prescription drugs that everyone's on these days. So why are they surprised when it keeps happening?
I'm not sure.
And the lizard people are looking for patterns, and they're going to find them with the incels if because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that was always interesting to me is because I hear a lot of like the third waivers and the fourth waivers come out and they complain about how bad the incel movement is, and I just keep thinking to myself, you have the tools to end incels forever. You understand that, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Just lock all the fourth waivers and all the incels in a room together and let nature do its thing, and they'll either all wind up dead or we'll have a baby boom.
Stop it.
Am I wrong? They do have the tools.
I didn't say you were wrong. I just am saying I don't want to talk about it.
CBS might be wrong at this point here, reading from The Hill.
What else is new?
Stacey Abrams makes cameo as United Earth President on Star Trek Discovery.
I mean, I don't know what to say about this. I'm speechless.
Democratic Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams has beamed up to a much higher office, making a cameo as the president of the United Earth in Season 4 finale of Star Trek Discovery. The former state lawmaker is known as a known fan of the Star Trek brand. She previously hosted a virtual fundraiser with cast members for now Georgia senators, your senators, John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, honk honk, and took part in the Trek the Vote to Victory event to drum up support. I can't read that without cringing. To drum up support for then Democratic presidential nominee Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. But Abrams' fandom reached warp speed on Thursday with the most recent episode of Paramount's Discovery. Somebody, by the way, pointed out to me, I think it was Arvold, but that in this particular season of Discovery, the Earth is xenophobic and against going out and doing exploration. They've limited the exploration. I don't know if that's true or not because I've never seen Discovery, but if true, that shines a different light on the Stacey Abrams character.
I've never seen any of them, so this nerdy shit is just a little over my head.
I like Trek, but this is just too much for me. This is ridiculous.
No, anybody that's going to have Stacey Abrams on needs to be canceled immediately. Cancel that show.
But they have to get to their 7th season, so they can be like every other Star Trek series except for Enterprise.
The fact that you know that makes me ashamed to call you my friend.
So, yes, Stacey Abrams. So apparently they've solved most of the problems of the world with replicators in the future, except for obesity. Look at that haircut, too. She's got the little buzzes up in the side. And
yeah, it's ridiculous. I was going to say some mean things about her weight, but I'll hold back because I'm not exactly a skinny person. So, no, fuck it. She's fat. Why is she on TV? Nobody should vote for her because she's fat. If she can't control what she puts in her mouth, how you expect her to control the rest of everything else in the whole state of Georgia?
I thought you would enjoy that one here.
She even sounds fat.
Speaking of the midterms, Dr. Oz is going to renounce his Turkish citizenship if elected to the Senate, which he should. I mean, that should be a no fucking brainer, except for all the people that do have dual citizenship that are in Congress. But we can't really talk about that because you might get called an anti-Semite on YouTube.
I've been called worse.
Why? That should be like the first thing. You should be forced to divest from all your stocks, from all your businesses, and renounce any foreign citizenship you have if you're going to be making foreign policy laws.
Absolutely. And the fact that they're creating new ways for them to make money or not have to pay as much in taxes or whatever, when they're supposed to be representing us is ridiculous. Why are we letting this happen? We need to just vote everyone out and start over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but this will be Dr. Oz's first term, so I guess he is going to be starting over at this point.
Yeah.
If you want another black pill here, Citigroup to cover travel expenses for abortions as U.S. states curb access. Now, I saw this headline and I thought they were going to be, setting up a charity to cover it for all of them. Thankfully, that's not the case. It's only going to be for their employees. Citigroup has started covering travel expenses for employees who go out of state for abortions because the newly enacted restrictions on Texas and other places becoming the first major U.S. bank to make that commitment. And as of that, I mean, I've never had anything in Citigroup, but as of this point, I will never do business with Citigroup again.
I mean, I don't have anything. Well, maybe I think I used to have a mortgage with Citigroup, but I don't think I've ever had a bank account or anything with them. But if they're a private company, if they want it, they can spend their money however they want. Killing babies is not the way I would go. That's just me.
Well, you're right. They can spend their money however they want, but I don't have to put my money into it.
Exactly. But I don't think that's going to stop them. I don't think they'll have enough people leaving their business for that to affect them at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't care about other people doing it. I just don't want to do business with them anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a boycott to force change kind of person. I just don't put my money where the values I don't like exist. End of story.
I agree.
Twitter has locked out the Babylon Bee. Daily Wire reports Twitter locks out Babylon Bee over Rachel Levine tweet. The Bee responds, "Truth is not hate speech." So this was pretty crazy. So apparently the Babylon Bee put out a headline on Twitter, as they usually do, saying that Rachel Levine is winning Man of the Year, and that got them suspended for hate speech.
Yes, and they refused to take it back. Twitter offered them. Twitter said, if you take it down, or if, whatever, we'll give you your account back. And they're like, nope, not going to do it. I guess I'm going to have to go sub to them on Instagram or somewhere else.
I'm sub to them on Instagram. You should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're hilarious. Axios, this is funny. Axios warns about the rise of white nationalist Hispanics.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Axios has warned its readers.
That's like the most 2022 headline I think we've ever covered right now.
Yeah. Axios has warned its readership that the latest development threatening public safety and our democracy, the rise of white nationalist Hispanics.
I mean,
and that's all that they put up there. The rise of white nationalist Hispanics.
They have no there's no documents to back this up. Like what?
I didn't read the Axios article, actually. I just kind of read the reactions to this.
Yeah.
Ryan James Gerdusky says, damn, even white nationalists have a diversity outreach.
I would like to welcome all of the white nationalist Hispanics into our group. We're glad to have them.
Well, and I look at some of the people, like obviously Tario, Puerto Rican, is he's got a very dark skin tone compared to most of us. Who's the other one? Fuentes. I don't know what he looks like at all, but I know that he's Hispanic. He does look very white.
Yeah.
But I was relating when I read this on Contemporary this morning. I went on a date a few weeks ago with a girl who I found out on the date that she was, her dad was first across the border Mexican. She was first generation born in this country Mexican. She's fairer than I am.
Yeah, well, Latinos can be white, My my ancestors immigrated here from Argentina, so
Mm-hmm.
Not of Argentinian descent, though.
Yeah. Harvey McLeod, that's been on this channel every once in a while. That, that girl whose face is the same color as your shirt.
Yeah.
She's Mexican.
Well, even Frank,
Yeah. I'm not familiar with Frank, unfortunately.
Either way, now I lost my train of thought. Dang it. I had something really good to say. No, probably not. What I was going to say is I think that these people are seeing what's going on in the country and they're choosing a side, and the people writing these articles don't like the side they're choosing. That's what's going on here. The color of their skin has nothing to do with it. The color of anyone's skin has nothing to do with anything, in my opinion. Like, it's how they think, how they feel, the values that they hold, and how they live their life. And I don't care if you align with my values, I don't care what color your skin is. And they're thinking the same thing.
That's one of the things that goes along with the Hispanic culture too. And I didn't know how long the Democrats could actually hold on to that because, I mean, Hispanic culture tends to be extremely Catholic.
Yes. Yeah, my Catholic church down the road has services in Hispanic every weekend, or in Hispanic, in Spanish. Hispanic is not a language.
So that's what we see coming off of that. And one last one, maybe a little bit of a white pill, maybe it's just another slap against the government, but the families of the Parkland shooting victims to get $127.5 million for the FBI's inaction. Just a quick rundown on this after all the details came out about the background checks and the reports that didn't get studied when Mr. Cruz went on his rampage at the time. Well, they started to go into this. They started to look into this and find out that there were some tips that got ignored, and now some of these families got a nice payout off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those cases I did a deep dive in. And yeah, there was lots of red flags. And if anyone's interested in this sort of stuff, the police interrogation video of this guy it's long, but it's very interesting to watch. It's a good watch.
I will have to look into this. Let's check some of the chat here, and then we got to go talk Hunter Laptop. It's like we had some new faces pop in here, but probably didn't like what they had to say. Nailbender says slacker. Why does Katie even hang out with you? Asked Nailbender.
Now I know all this stuff about Star Trek and him. I might not anymore. He's got a point. No, I'm kidding. That's a great guy. That's why.
Apex Star with the Ukrainian colored hearts from Twitch. We question the narrative around here, so Apex Star might not care for us anymore.
I think he's probably already gone.
Might be. Nailbender, market of color. Daz Big says Hunter Biden doesn't work for the government. Well, his dad does, and I still have some more concerns about this.
Well, I have lots to say about this, but it's the next segment, so I'll go ahead.
Nailbender says, the fuck you think the militia is? Rednecks with guns. A well-regulated militia. They forget about the well-regulated part.
Yep.
The first argument every time. Lenny doesn't like what we had to say about the shredder here. Sorry, not funny. That was a murder weapon. Good riddance.
Not a murder weapon.
Yeah, a jury found otherwise. Ben Wild is here. Pause, folks. The king is back. Yeah, we haven't seen Ben Wild for a while. You may take our freedoms, but you'll never take our fucking chicken sandwiches. Mr. Zed is here, and also in the other room. Hi-ho, peeps. Ben Wild has found the nail in the coffin for Ketanji Brown Jackson, rather. She puts ketchup on barbecue, and for that reason, she is unfit. Mr. Zed says, that is my point on the BS hate crime shit. It's already a crime. Adding this bullshit hate crime on it is just for people's feelings and not the feeling of those affected.
Yeah.
Nailbender says, first of all, where the hell did they get a copy of my high school journal? That fanfic was never meant to be public. Ben Wild says, Stacey Abrams should have been given a cameo in Free Willy. Nailbender says, Discovery is one of the worst Trek series alongside Voyager. I didn't mind Voyager, but that was also my first entry into it, so it holds a different place for me. Hey, I like Trek, all right? And it's not just because of younger, like my ex-fiance liked Trek a lot too, but she got into it as a kid when it was first new. I didn't discover it until I was like 23.
Yeah. You're allowed to like what you like. It's fine.
K-Bot video is here. The look on Katie's face, which I don't know who that is, but allegedly somebody who's probably familiar with you.
Yes.
Arwold says, be everywhere, sub everywhere.
K-Bot video is the one that gave me this tiara.
Oh, nice. Arwold says, we all know what that means, Katie. Blonde hair, blue eyes from Argentina.
Yep. That's it. Do the math.
Is Xena going? I can't hear Xena, so.
Well, that's good. My mic, whatever settings that people put on here for me is working then, because she's like literally right there screaming.
Okay, well that's good, because I didn't know anything about that until I saw the chat. So yeah, it didn't go across the switchboard, which means it didn't get out there. Arvolt says #free Xena.
She's free in the backyard right now. That's the problem.
Nailbender says well regulated means make sure everyone has adequate ammo amounts and types.
I agree.
All right, let's talk about the Hunter laptop, shall we?
Yes, let's.
Because I know you have a lot to say on that one. So, the New York Times this week has made a confirmation, but they didn't talk about the confirmation about this week. This is first the tweet from the New York Times tweeting out, Hunter Biden has paid off significant tax liability, but a broad investigation into his business dealings that started as a tax inquiry has remained active. A grand jury is still seeking information about payments from around the world. And when this first came out, by the way, one of the first replies that I saw to this was somebody coming out and saying that GOP conspiracy theorists have nothing to complain about now. Hunter is paying his taxes. Direct quote. That's exactly what I heard about this.
I'm not concerned about Hunter's taxes. I'm concerned about the president lying to us. Straight-faced. I'm most concerned about that.
I'm concerned about the president's kid doing dealings in Russia. Or I'm sorry, Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah.
In the middle of the fact that that's the main thing on the main world stage right now.
And the fact that he can just, it's not just Hunter, it's all of their kids are doing business, getting, I forget the outrageous, like $50,000 a month from the Ukraine Hunter was getting.
Yeah.
It's insane. Of course, the media and everyone's trying to push this narrative where we need to support Ukraine. Nobody's even looking at what's going on over there. They're just hearing the media narrative and going along with it and changing their profile pictures to frickin' Ukrainian flags without even knowing what the heck's going on.
Yeah, Styx points out every once in a while too. It's probably the most accurate thing to say about that. A lot of these people didn't know where Ukraine was on a map until 3 weeks ago.
Did they miss 2014? They just completely forgot that happened?
Yes.
I guess you're probably right.
I typically am on things like this here.
Yeah, it's sad.
But this goes on to a New York Times article that came out. Now, the New York Post, the Daily Wire, and several other conservative outlets came out right away and pointed out correctly that this article does, and we'll read it verbatim off the screen, confirm that the laptop was real.
Yeah.
But it's 3/4 of the way down the article.
Yep.
So, just to read from the New York Times, in the year after he disclosed a federal investigation into his tax affairs in late 2020. I wonder what was happening around that time. President Biden's son Hunter paid off a significant tax liability even as a grand jury continued to gather evidence in a wide-ranging examination of his international business dealings, according to people familiar with the case. Mr. Biden's failure to pay all of his taxes has been a focus of the ongoing Justice Department investigation. While wiping out his liability does not preclude criminal charges against him, the payment could make it harder for persecutors to win a conviction or a long sentence for tax-related offenses. Dude, he's not going to see a single day in jail, I promise. He's probably not going to see a trial. According to tax law experts, since juries and judges tend to be more sympathetic to defendants who have paid their bills. But Mr. Biden's taxes are just one element of the broader investigation stemming from the work he did around the world. Hunter is a Yale-educated lawyer. His professional life has intersected with his father's public service, surprise, surprise, including working as a registered lobbyist for domestic interests and, while his father was vice president, pursuing deals and clients in Asia and Europe.
Yeah.
Let's skip down 21 paragraphs.
You sat here and counted paragraphs this afternoon, didn't you?
No, I did it on Contemporary, live on air. I'm sure it was riveting programming. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that. I should have marked this in here because I can do that off here. So we come down here. Investigators have examined Mr. Biden's relationship with interests in Kazakhstan, a Chinese energy conglomerate, and Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company, according to people familiar with the investigation. They said prosecutors had investigated payments and gifts Mr. Biden or his associates had received from foreign interests while his father was the vice president.
Yep.
Including a vehicle paid for using funds from a company associated with a Kazakh oligarch and a diamond from a Chinese energy tycoon. Prosecutors also sought documents related to corporate entities through which Mr. Biden and his associates conducted businesses with interests around the world. I'm sure that diamond that he got from the Chinese energy tycoon is a little bit bigger than the one that's on your hand.
Probably.
And the one that's on your hand is not a small diamond by any stretch of the imagination. Compared
It
to
could
most.
be bigger. No, I'm kidding.
But we come down here a little bit more. Over the last 2 years, federal prosecutors in Delaware have issued scores of subpoenas for documents related to Hunter Biden's foreign work and for bank accounts linked to him and his associates, including 2 formerly close business partners, Eric Schwerin and Devin Archer, according to people familiar with the investigation. Last year, prosecutors interviewed Mr. Archer and subpoenaed him for documents and a grand jury testimony. The People said Mr. Archer, who was sentenced last month to unrelated securities fraud case, in which a decision to set aside his conviction was reversed, had served with Mr. Biden on Burisma's board starting in 2014. And this is where they confirm it. Look how far the slider is down. People familiar with the investigation said prosecutors had examined emails between Mr. Biden, Mr. Archer, and others about Burisma and other foreign business activity. Those emails were obtained by the New York Times from a cache of files that appears to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop. The email and others in the cache were authenticated by people familiar with them and the investigation. There it is, the confirmation.
Yeah. And,
I mean, it's not the climax that we thought it was going to be, but...
People have had their accounts suspended. They've been kicked off of platforms for saying exactly this 2 years ago. Everyone knew this was real. No one bought the story that it was. I mean, the story went back and forth, first of all. First it was fake, and then it was stolen. But how could it be stolen if it was fake? Like, why would somebody steal fake emails? Like, why wouldn't you just make the fake emails? Didn't make any sense then. And now that they're saying it out loud, like, those people aren't getting their accounts back. Those people aren't getting back the followers that they had where their accounts were closed. Like, all of the social media companies were kicking people off of platforms over this story. And if you can't let people speak freely, you shouldn't have a social media platform. And I know this is not about that. However, it just pisses me off so much that 2 years later, buried in an article, it comes out that everything people were saying was true, and now they're just going to go on. They're just going to go on like nothing happened.
Well, nothing did happen, of course. No, I get where you're coming from off of this, and that, you know, I troll a little bit off of that, but I know exactly where you're coming from off of this, and it is, well, like you said, we all knew about this.
I'm sure we know people who have gotten strikes on their channels for covering this thing.
I question whether or not we can even cover it at this point, but I mean, that's... And the thing is, they try to bury this in an article about the taxes and say that the conspiracy theorists on the GOP side were only concerned about the taxes.
I'm not concerned about the taxes or the sex tapes or any of that. What I'm concerned about is...
I'm concerned about the sex tapes. I'll start up the wood chipper over that shit.
Well, was there kids involved in his sex tapes?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was.
Yeah.
See, when I hear the sex stuff, I just tune it out, and I'm like, I don't care, and I didn't dig into it apparently like you have. But like that doesn't even. What concerns me is that the president's lying, and it's not just the president. like the whole government, like Psaki was straight up lying about this stuff. She's supposed to, she's the mouthpiece for the White House. So if the White House is lying to us about something like this, that doesn't even matter. They could have just said, no comment. He's not, part of the government or whatever, but they didn't. They lied. Instead of saying that, they lied. That's an issue.
That's been a lot of it too. Like the what's been coming back out of this is a lot of people, especially with either a Ukrainian flag or a blue wave in their Twitter name, are coming out here telling us that none of this matters because Hunter Biden is not a public official. Why are you even looking into this? He's never been in the government.
Because the president decided to make comments about it. That's why.
Not only that, but the president is on record saying that he got an investigator fired.
Yeah. Yeah, he's swinging his power around. And it's not like this is all of the things that are happening now is what they accused Donald Trump of years ago. Yeah. And it's funny how all of these things it's coming out now that this is things that side is doing, that the Democrats are doing, not anything that Donald Trump was doing.
Exactly. And
like if you want to know what the Democrats are doing, just wait for them to accuse Donald Trump of something else.
Are you saying that they're Nazis and they dog whistle to white supremacists?
Yes, absolutely.
The big concern that I have for this, especially now, although I had problems with this, I mean, they impeached the president of the United States over asking for an investigation into this when they had the former vice president on record at the time saying, well, I called up over there and I said, hey, if this guy's still working over here, you're not going to get the $20 billion in foreign, or however the fuck much it was.
Yeah.
And son of a bitch, the next day he was fired.
Which, why are we giving them 4 days to start with? A. And B, that's exactly what they were worried about Trump having some sort of ties to Russia, for him to do this exact same thing that Joe Biden already did. So yes, the Democrats are probably Nazis who are dog whistling to white supremacists.
The biggest concern for me, it's not necessarily the business dealing, because again, I mean, every nation in the world is going to try to influence trade to get the vice president's son about this. That there appears to be some sort of shady dealing from somebody who's never worked in the energy sector, who is getting, like you had mentioned before, $50,000 a month. More than I make in a year in a month.
Yeah.
And there has got to be something else going on off of this. And right now, that I call that a conflict of interest. The commander of the military has got a familial conflict of interest with a country that social media is begging us to go into right now.
Absolutely. And you better believe that Zelensky's got dirt on Biden. He knows something. Zelensky knows something, and Biden has to do whatever he says at this point. And we're on the brink of World War III. This is not good. This is not a good situation.
I would say that Biden needs to be impeached over this, but A, you don't have a House majority that's willing to do that, and B, it's standing in line right behind him.
Yeah, exactly.
Who needs to go back and swing around her big fucking lady dick? I'm sorry, that's not Michelle Obama, never mind. But show us that she's one of the big boys and she can go start a war just like the big boys too.
She doesn't have the balls for it.
No, she'll just borrow them from Michelle.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So that's what's going. It's just the optics off of this. I actually had somebody quote tweet back to me and tell me that that this whole laptop story is bullshit, in spite of the fact that it's in black and fucking white on the New York Times, a former newspaper, and say it was bullshit because Giuliani had it for a year, plenty of time to tamper. Exact quote.
Hold on. I lost audio.
You lost audio.
Oh, now I can hear you.
Okay.
Now I can hear you. That was weird. You just cut out in the middle of a sentence.
So you didn't hear me say that Giuliani had this for a year and plenty of time to tamper?
Oh, yeah, Giuliani. I mean, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
I think he might be a little bit compromised in the brain.
Yeah. And he may be compromised by Ukraine too. Who knows? I don't trust any of them anymore.
Speaking of Ukraine, we got to talk just a little bit about that. We'll talk Ukraine, then we'll go catch up with some of the live chat off of this here. But we've had some developments that are going off with this. First, we got to get the cringe out of the way. You may not like Trek, but I know we've talked about Star Wars before, so the new Resistance is out there.
I can't wait.
Resist. Stand with Ukraine.
Yeah.
The more that I looked into this picture, the worse it got. I mean, we noticed right away, of course, the X-Wing is in the Ukrainian colors.
Yes.
But I didn't notice it until I looked at this on Contemporary, but all the Imperial Star Destroyers have Russian colors on them, too.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Or American, depending on which way you want to think about it.
Right, yes, or American. Absolutely.
If people see this and don't think they're being propagandized to, I don't know what's wrong with them. This is pure propaganda. This is what they're doing to you.
And we, of course, have your submission.
Yes.
I stand with Raytheon.
Always. Bring back Blackwater.
So, looking in at some of the things that we're looking at here with this, some stuff on the ground right now. The most latest, I don't think that's proper grammar. The latest development is, of course, from today, that Mariupol was offered. Russia offered safe passage of all the citizens of Mariupol, which is a port city that's about to be, well, it's been sieged by Russia. We talked a little bit about it last week. This morning, local time, Russia offered safe passage to all the citizens of Mariupol if they would just lay down their weapons and surrender unconditionally.
Yeah.
And Mariupol told the Russian army to get fucked.
Well, that was probably a mistake. I can see that ending badly for the people of Mariupol.
I can too, but I guess it's different to me. The people of the city themselves, like if the people of Redacted came out and somehow an army got all the way across the country and into here and we were the last stand right now, whether or not we agreed with the government's stance in the war, once they got onto the lawn, if the people of Redacted were to hold arms against an invading army, I'm sure that we would tell them to get fucked too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's true, but I don't think that we have a possibility of that happening here.
No,
because
that was a hypothetical
thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I would probably, if Russia came to the town that I live in, I would probably tell them to get fucked as well. But
I'd probably wind up deceased when I told them to get fucked. But
I can't say that I would. I've never been in this sort of situation. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know what I would say. I might just leave. I don't know.
There's been calls for new no-fly zones now. Estonia has called for an immediate no-fly zone, which I don't know. I mean, if you're flying over Estonia,
I'm gonna have to pull up a map.
It's
tiny. I don't know where Estonia is.
It's up on, I can't think of the sea right now, but it's up on the border that goes into the sea towards Scandinavia.
Oh, okay.
It's on the other side of Belarus.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
But they are calling for a new no-fly zone at this point. So, again, if you blink, you've missed Estonia.
Yeah.
From the air. Uh-oh. Are we having connectivity issues? Looks like.
Oh, no.
You froze up for a second. Yeah, I can hear you.
That's not good.
Yeah, you're just freezing up, but definitely we'll watch that and we'll keep going on with that. Some other on the ground looks like, what was the other city that that got popped. There was another one that just got popped just a little bit ago. I have it up here. God damn it. Yes, the chemical plant. So this one is a new development today, where an ammonia plant in the country's northeast has been shelled and had an ammonia leak.
An ammonia plant. Okay.
This is actually well known as a chemical plant. So, a Ukrainian chemical plant was targeted by Russia airstrike Monday, causing a terrifying evacuation as potentially deadly ammonia leaked for hours, local officials said. And this is not the video that I wanted to have up here. So, yep, there's your shelling going on right there.
Yep.
Apparently no audio on this one. Which, again, in a situation like this, no matter what you believe as far as who the aggressors are at this point, whoever is aggressing on this point, they're getting into some nasty shit, because ammonia released onto an urban area is a nasty level of chemical warfare beyond a lot of what else we're seeing off of this. And again, I don't know who is the aggressor in any of this, because there's so much.
Because you can't trust the media. Yeah.
But regardless, this is a nasty thing, and there are civilians that are still involved in all this.
Yeah. The whole thing is very sad. I wish that Zelensky, I know recently he said he doesn't want any peace talks, which I just don't understand.
Well, he called for peace talks, but they couldn't find anything.
He's not willing to give an inch. Like, that's not peace talks. That's not compromise. He's unwilling to compromise. I should say. Yeah.
A couple of others going on here. A couple of people being involved as United States citizens. A Minnesota native who stayed in Ukraine to care for his partner is second American killed by Putin's senseless war. Still, and this is very, very heavily propagandized, but still no talk about us going in there, which is, cross your fingers, still good.
Yeah.
This is Minnesota native James Hill remained in the besieged northeastern Ukrainian city of Chernihiv, very near the Russian border, to look after his partner Irina, who is being treated at a local hospital for multiple sclerosis. And I don't know why.
Yeah, why were they in Ukraine to start with?
Apparently she was a native of there.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. I thought they were both American.
No, he's an American. I don't know if he just went over there to get a Ukrainian bride, like Ron Helton.
I was just saying, how much did he pay for her?
Like Ron Helton keeps threatening to do to me.
Yeah.
But yes, with that on board, yes, he has passed away. She was in the hospital. The hospital got popped, and he got hit with it as well. So another American killed. Let's go gung-ho right into it.
Very sad.
A little bit of a border dispute going on there as well. A Massachusetts grandfather has dealt a setback in a push to get his daughter and grandson out of the Ukraine. So allegedly, this grandfather who left Fitchburg, Massachusetts, to go to Ukraine because of problems with the customs out of this, is now officially trapped in Kiev. They're not trapped in Kiev anymore. They've traveled to the city of Uzhgorod at the border with Slovakia to try to get the State Department to let them in, because apparently during COVID, this girl, who's like tiny and nobody believes that she had a kid because she was a dancer, she had a home birth, so there's no birth certificate.
Oh, no.
So they can't get cleared customs to get the kid out. She can get out of the country, no problem, but they can't clear customs to get the kid out of the country.
Yeah, you don't leave your kid somewhere.
And the kid's like a year old.
That's a pickle. She's had a year to get this kid a birth certificate. What's she doing?
Apparently just taking care of the kid and dancing.
Too late now.
So upon last check, they have worked out a deal with the Slovakian government to get documents through that way, to get a birth certificate to get the child to the U.S.
That's good.
So that's what we see off of that. Let's talk about Zelensky's speeches, though, because that, I think, is going to be the big one coming off of this.
Yeah.
So Zelensky has addressed now both Israel and Congress at this point, and we're going to watch the majority of the congressional one, and we'll talk about some of the reactions that went with that.
Okay.
So let's listen to what Zelensky actually had to say. A warning: there's going to be some graphic content with this as well.
I ask you to watch one video of what the Russian troops did in our country, in our land. We have to stop it. We must preventively destroy every single aggressor who seeks to subjugate other nations. Please watch the video.
Skip ahead because you get the idea. It's wartime propaganda. Yes. So we're going to skip ahead to Zelensky himself speaking at this point. Let me track this forward because there's a lot of video. For the interest of time, you get the idea. Hey, look, they're bombing stuff. It's bad. All right, let me back that up just a bit. Close the sky over Ukraine. And now by the way, he had the translator when he was begging everybody to go watch the video. Now he's mysteriously speaking English.
In the end, to sum it up, today it's not enough to be the leader of the nation. Today it takes to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace. Peace in your country doesn't depend anymore only on you and your people. It depends on those next to you, on those who are strong. Strong doesn't mean big. Strong is brave and ready to fight for the life of his citizens and citizens of the world, for human rights, for freedom, for the right to live decently and to die when your time comes, and not when it's wanted by someone else, by your neighbor. Today, the Ukrainian people are defending not only Ukraine, we are fighting for the values of Europe and the world, sacrificing our lives in the name of the future. That's why today, the American people are helping not just Ukraine, but Europe and the world to keep the planet alive, to keep justice in history. Now I'm almost 45 years old. Today my age stopped when the heart of more than 100 children stopped beating.
So that's all we're going to do off of this one here. What's your take on this?
I mean, it's all kind of cringy. Like the way he's addressing people, the way he's dressed, that pan out that they did, where it's on a screen with people in an auditorium, really is reminiscent of the movie 1984. Which when you showed it, it reminded me I had a tweet on deck about that I needed to post real quick. I mean, war is not good. We need to avoid it at all costs. And it's hard to pick a side. I want to pick the side of what's right, but I don't know who's right. And I definitely know what they're wanting me to, what side the collective they are wanting me to take, and it makes me want to pick the other side. The propaganda is making me want to lean towards siding with Russia.
So when you say the collectives, they, how many parentheses were around that?
3.
Nice. The speech in Congress received a standing ovation, which we'll see some of just in a second. But it also sparked some controversy because I believe it was Midas Touch, left-wing grassroots group, came out and accused Marjorie Taylor Greene of not applauding for this, and they sent this video out here. Let's watch that. And then it was fact-checked by Liberal Newsweek, which I thought was hilarious. Let's watch. Oh, I don't have volume on. And they put the circle... Oh, god damn it, because they put all the images back up there. But they put the circle around Greene and show her, while everyone else is clapping, reaching down and getting her phone.
Members of Congress,
and then they just cut the video right then and there.
Yeah, seems a little edited.
Well, that's the big accusation, is Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't applaud for Zelensky.
Yeah, show me her through that whole thing, not applauding, and I'll believe you. Because I don't believe you right now. I don't believe anything you say. Newsweek.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Newsweek, as I said, Daily Mail was the one that made the... Well, Midas Touch was the one that made the accusation. Daily Mail reported it. Newsweek fact-checked. From Newsweek, fact-checked, did Marjorie Taylor Greene not applaud Volodymyr Zelensky? The claim, a video was posted by Midas Touch, a political media network, that shows the audience at the Capitol Visitor Center, Congressional Auditorium on Wednesday morning, is standing to greet Zelensky before a speech. The video, which is gaining traction on Twitter, zooms in and highlights Greene, who appears to stand with other members of Congress. Rather than applauding Zelensky, the video shows Greene grabbing her phone before it fades back to a shot panning to the rest of the audience. Weird how that works.
Yeah.
The facts. While Greene does not initially pick up her phone and look at it while members of Congress stand and clap, the video posted by Midas Touch appears to cut too soon. C-SPAN recorded the entirety of the Zelensky speech, and about the 2-minute, 45-second mark, the Georgia Republican can be seen applauding for the Ukrainian president. So let's pull this up.
Front row seat to democracy.
And go to the 2-minute and 40-second mark.
Zelensky, Slava Ukraina. Slava Ukraina.
Glory to heroes.
And there she is. Weird. Clapping.
Yep. Yeah. Don't believe anything you see in any media. Everything is an op. Every last thing that you consume is an op. All of it.
It's funny you bring up ops. Because here is one of the big ops right now, was the fact that a group of TikTok stars were called into the White House this past week to discuss why the rising gas prices and inflation were Russia's fault.
God.
Let's listen to what this is.
You could have used this as surprise stupidity because I have not seen this. And if it's at all as good as the last time they brought in TikTok stars to the White House, I'm kind of excited to see it.
Well, let's listen. Oh, I gotta put the video back up.
Why is gas so expensive, and why is the United States inflation rate at a 4-time decade high? I had the opportunity to ask the White House why gas down the street is $7, and here's what they said. The obvious reason: we are getting out of a 2-year pandemic. When use goes up, price goes up. But the call was predominantly about Ukraine and Russia, so how does that relate? Russia is one of the top 3 producers of oil, and it is actually their #1 revenue source. Now, with Putin starting this horrific fight between Ukraine and Russia, nobody wants to work with him and do international trade. So with people being scared of war and limited resources, prices are bound to go up as well. For the people who can't pay $7 for a gallon of gas, there's an app called Gas Buddy that shows you the cheapest gas near you, as well as a link in my bio to donate to the misplaced refugees of Ukraine. Why?
Oh, so you can't afford gas. Here, donate to the Ukraine refugees. Like, what the fuck? Like, this girl has no idea. She's got no idea. She doesn't even know she's being used as an op. She doesn't even know. Like, she just saw
I think she does. I actually think she does because
on the paycheck.
Well, yeah, I don't even know if it's zeros on the paycheck. Like, her heart is not into this, and I could kind of see that off of there. And like when we were watching this in contemporary, I said, okay, hot girl on TikTok, blink twice if you're being held hostage. Blink twice if the IRS is standing there threatening to audit your parents.
Yeah. Like she doesn't know what's going on. This is obviously a paid advertisement. Like, this is a paid spot. And she's reading a script. Like, oh, you can't afford gas here, donate to Ukraine. Like, what the fuck?
There was a rebuttal to this video that we found interesting on the morning show as well. And some of the people in the audience urged me to ask this girl out, which actually wouldn't probably be the worst thing in the world. She's kind of cute, I'm not going to lie. But this seemed like one of her first time speaking, but she spoke volumes in it, so I applaud her for this. Yeah. But listen to what Mira had to say in rebuttal to this video.
Why is gas so expensive and the United States inflation rate at a near 4-decade high? I had the opportunity to use my brain.
I do apologize for the mixing off of that. That is on her video source end, not on my end.
And here's what I came up with. The obvious reason is that this administration is a monarchy machine hell-bent on destroying American energy independence. But apparently this call was predominantly about Russia and Ukraine. So how does that relate? My best guess is that since Biden has apparently pissed off literally everyone in this country with a brain that at least kind of works as designed, they are at the point where obviously this is all Putin's fault. Now, with people unable to afford enough gas to go get toilet paper, we are quite literally doubling down now. And so just FYI, if you're even thinking about questioning this, accept your fate now. You're a Russian asset. It's going to be where it's at. So even with Psaki unable to justify this, there is, circling back on this one, where it's at. And so it's Putin's fault. You question it, you're a Russian asset. And you're honestly, your best bet is to just stop being poor and get a Tesla, man. My advice, though, if you genuinely believe any of this bullshit, is I just hope you seek professional help. And I'll end with a shout out to Prime Minister Joe Manchin.
Definitely ask her out. Yeah. She looks like somebody I could hang out with. That's my goal for you, is to find somebody that I can hang out with.
I mean, this definitely seemed like one of her first times public speaking, but regardless, the message was on point. Absolutely.
Absolutely. She's smart. She's cute. She's everything. She's perfect. Yeah. Track her down. Don't take no for an answer.
Apparently she follows Fanning, so I told Quest, I said, do Quest Fanning stuff. Make her love me.
Yes. Yes. Is Quest in here right now? No. I'll message him a little later. Actually, I think I have his phone number. I might call him.
Do Questy things. Make her love me. Make Mira love me. So, going off with that, that's the propaganda that's being shoved down our throats right now. Meanwhile,
it's all propaganda. It's all an op.
You want to hear one that's going to be shocking? Even AOC understands that a no-fly zone is an act of war.
What? AOC said something intelligent?
Broken clock, man.
Wow.
There are a lot of pundits, journalists, and members of Congress using this term no-fly zone, except most Americans probably don't know that declaring a no-fly zone is essentially tantamount to a declaration of war. So if you're not comfortable with the United States declaring war against Russia, you're probably not comfortable with a no-fly zone.
Good for her. I agree. And somehow she looked more attractive in that video than she normally does. So I don't know if it's what's coming out of her mouth or what she looks like, but maybe I think it was just the angle. Never mind.
There's a dirty joke waiting in there, but I'm going to spare you that one. I'm going to spare you that one. Yeah, that's some of the side of this too. And what have we said from the top? A no-fly zone requires enforcement. Enforcement is an act of war.
Absolutely.
You start killing Russian pilots over the top of Ukraine, you better be willing to accept what Putin wants to do.
Estonia or anywhere else.
Well, Estonia can monitor its own borders. It's far enough away from Ukraine that if they don't want a fly zone there, I mean, for the 27 inches of airspace that they have.
Yep.
All right, and we'll do one last one here on this before we walk away. No, there are a couple things that I want to do with this here yet. Aaron Lewis actually got into this as well. From the other side of things, let's listen to what the former frontman of Staind had to say about this.
As fucked up as it sounds, maybe we should listen to what Vladimir Putin is saying. Woo! Maybe, just maybe, when Klaus Schwab and George Soros and every other dirty, fucking earth-destroying motherfucker all jumps on the same bandwagon, maybe, just maybe, we should fucking take a good look at that. Why are they trying to protect Ukraine so much? What do they all have to lose? It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Have you seen the pictures with wooden guns and all the bodies and body bags laying in the background, and all of a sudden one of the bodies starts moving and fucking sits up and fixes his fucking body bag?
Yeah, some of this might get us popped on YouTube.
Somebody got red-pilled.
Aaron Lewis got red-pilled a long time ago.
I don't know who this is. So I like it.
He was a former heavy metal singer. Now he with the band Staind, and now he's got a solo country career.
Good for him. I might have to buy some of his music. I like it. I like the message.
All right. On the other side, just economically off of this, there were a couple other things that I wanted to touch on with this subject here. Number one, this is the big one. A lot of people freaked out about this on Wednesday when this first came out, but Saudi Arabia is not picking up the phone for Biden, and now they're talking about going and trading their oil in yuan rather than the U.S. dollar.
Gas prices aren't high enough. Why don't we throw this into the mix, see what happens? Oh, God.
Well, actually, because I didn't realize what the panic was about, and some of the panic was misplaced, and I've looked into this a little bit more since then. Like, when I first read about this, I understood it completely. Now I've looked into this a little bit more, and it's a little bit displaced, because, I mean, the oil is going to be the same supply of oil no matter what currency you trade it in, and you're still going to have the U.S. dollar is going to be involved in this. I mean, you're going to be paying for it in the U.S. dollar or the euro. End of story.
Yes,
China can manipulate their economy. They can manipulate their currency, and you have no idea what it's going to be worth the next day.
If Saudi Arabia is not picking up the phone for us, how far away is it that they stop trading oil with us, and then we go back to war in the Middle East? Like, that's not a far leap to make.
No, it's not. I mean, we made the joke, Elaine and I did, during the when they still had the National Guard in Washington, D.C. They kept the National Guard there so long there must be oil under Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in a country where there's actually oil underneath it, I mean, we'll go in and do a regime change if necessary in this country.
Yes.
The warmongers are
time
not
and time
afraid
again.
of it. Yes, exactly. But Bloomberg got into this a little bit here. So this is the one I really wanted to get with you and talk to you about here. So Bloomberg, and I mean, we'll pull the article up, but we'll read the highlight reel. We the morning show, we read the Bloomberg article, but we're up on the clock. So, God damn it, I wanted to open that in a new tab. So we'll look that up so you can see that it's not bullshit up here. But Daily Wire has the highlight reel for this. Inflation stings the most if you earn less than $300,000. Here's how to deal. Now, with this was a series of tweets that came out with this, and I mean Bloomberg, they screenshotted it right from there. Inflation stings the most if you earn less than $300,000. Here's how to deal. Number 1, take the bus. Number 2, don't buy in bulk, which is the worst advice possible.
I don't understand. They're trying to keep us dependent on them. I've been racking my brain trying to figure out why this don't buy in bulk is in this. And the only thing I can come up with is that they need us dependent on them. Because if we don't need them for a period of time, they have no power over us. They have no leverage. If I'm stocked up to where I don't need anything from anybody for 6 months or a year or 3 years or whatever, they've got no leverage on me.
This was the big one. Try lentils instead of meat.
Eat the bugs, live in the pod.
Yeah, you don't need meat. Just have lentils. They're savory. You'll be fine with lentils.
Let them eat lentils.
Yeah. Hey, look, there's Fanning right there. And the last point about this was nobody said that they would be fun. So, and I read the article on Contemporary. The woman that wrote this op-ed actually said, sell your car. You probably don't need it.
She lives in a city. She's retarded.
Well, yeah, Bloomberg, she probably lives in New York, so she probably takes the subway.
Most Americans need to have a car to get groceries, to get to work. Like, I can't jump on the subway where I live. You've been here. There's no subway.
Yeah. There's no subway. Does the buses even run out that far? I don't remember ever hearing one.
There's not a single bus. There's school buses that come and get the children, the yellow school buses. That's it. That's the only buses I have. No buses, no subway. No, I can't even get to like an Amtrak station from here. I could get to a gas station by foot from here. That's about it.
You could take an Uber. No, wait, that would be burning fuel. Never mind.
That's a car.
But yeah, I mean,
real quick, can we just take a little time out because Quest is here? Quest, I need to talk to you directly. You need to get your follower. What's her name, Ed? Mira? Yeah, you need to get Ed a date with Mira because she's perfect for him. And I can hang out with her. I like her already. And we need this to happen. So just do your thing. Make it happen. Okay. Sorry for the interruption, folks.
Do questy things.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, this is exactly the same sentiment that we had during the Obama admin. Just learn to live with less.
Yeah. Exactly. They want you dependent on them. So you have to depend on their public transportation. They want you to depend on their feeding you because they don't want you to stock up for God forbid you're self-sustaining. It's terrifying.
It absolutely is terrifying.
Yeah. Eat the bugs, live in the pod, shut your mouth. You'll like it. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah, no, nobody said this was going to be fun. All right. With that, let's do some live chat here. Let's see what these guys are talking about. But we'll do some daylight savings time. We'll talk a bit about COVID, and then you're really going to like the surprise stupidity. I guarantee it. All right. Let's get back to where we were. It's been a little bit quiet tonight, but that's fine. Where did we leave off with? Ben Wild says, I'm sure it's just a coincidence that Russia personally sanctioned Biden's and Clinton's. And yes, Hunter was on the list of people that were sanctioned. Ben Wild says, fucking Joe Biden kicks dogs. Literally. He kicks dogs and then plays it like he's the victim wearing a boot. Yeah, fact check that, motherfuckers.
Yep.
Ben Wild says, hashtag stand with Ukraine, especially if it means getting your crack-smoking son out of legal trouble. No, we're not going to do NFL talk because I have not watched enough NFL to know anything that's going on about it, so... Ben Wild asked, wait, did she pay royalties for that music or is she stealing? With TikTok, that is a different story. I don't understand much about that, but I know that they have a list of safe clips and songs that they can use for them that are royalty-free. Nailbender says, if you don't ask her out, I will. Mr. Zed says, track her down and don't take no for an answer. Sounds a lot like surprise sex, and that can get you into trouble.
Oh my God, pray for him.
Quest Fanning's here. He says, I'm late, just finished with work, heading home from the office. Mr. Zed said, if AOC starts talking logically and changes her stance on everything and turns into a Republican, she's probably a plant.
She's already probably a plant.
Already probably. So we got a couple other things that I wanted to touch on here today before we head out of this. Let's talk about daylight savings time. So this past week, the Senate has passed a bill. Marco Rubio was the one that pushed up there, which I can't believe he's not getting any more pushback because it's Marco fucking Rubio. But Marco Rubio passed a bill this week to make daylight savings time permanent nationwide. Details at the time of this article that we have up on the screen, or will in just a second, were scant, but after some review, it looks like this next fall back and this next spring ahead will both be in effect. So we'll still change the clocks in November coming up here, and then next March we will as well. But that if this bill goes through, passes the House and passes the presidency, next March will be the final time we change the clocks, and daylight savings time will become permanent.
Finally, the government is doing some stuff I can get on board with. It's about time.
Yeah. A lot of studies came out with this. Now, this has actually been tried in the past. Nixon did something like this in the 70s, I believe. Yes, the early 70s. But it wound up being massively unpopular among the mostly diurnal country at the time. There's a lot of difference now in what the country was in 1972 versus what it is now. Yeah. Keep in mind, we're working 3 shifts. A lot of us work a second or a third shift job. A lot of us work at different times of the clock. I don't see this now as anything but a bad thing, or a good thing rather.
Yeah. Why? I don't understand why. I saw some really dumb stuff said about this online. But what time the sun comes up and goes down doesn't have anything to do with the farmers. The farmers get up when the sun goes. Like, it doesn't matter what it says on their watch. They are going to get up when the sun comes up and milk the cows. It really doesn't matter what the watch says. But there's no reason to have daylight savings time anymore. And I would rather stay on the spring forward time than the fall time, because I'd rather have more daylight in the evening.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go to work when it's dark out and then come home when it's dark out.
Well, that was a part of the reason that we had the daylight savings time up there, was to get more time in the evening when the high school and college kids could get out onto the farms and work.
Yeah, just leave it there all year long.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some things to go along with this. I do think this, it's not so much the fall back, although I can see, because the citation for this was the fact that there were a number of traffic accidents and fatalities that went along with the idea of falling back and spring forward. And, you know, for the most part, it's the spring forward because we lose an hour of sleep throughout the night. But,
yeah,
you know, I remember being in my 20s and being completely excited for the fact that bar close was at 2 o'clock in Kenosha, except on daylight savings time night, where at 2 o'clock, when bar close was, they rolled it back to 1 o'clock and we could keep going for another hour.
I was never out that late, even when I was young and went to bars, so it didn't affect me.
Oh, it affected me a lot. And it was always on a Saturday night, too. That was the best part.
Yeah, I think the only time the daylight savings time ever actually affected me is when I was working for Walmart and I worked on the weekends. That's the only job I think I've had that I worked on the weekends. And not having that buffer day of Sunday in there
Mm-hmm.
when you lose an hour of sleep really gets you for a day or two. But other than that, doesn't really affect me. But like I said, I do like the summertime time better. Just for the fact I don't mind driving to work in the dark because I've just woke up. I've had my cup of coffee. I'm wide awake. Let's do it. And then coming home at night when it's dark out, it just kills your whole evening. You know what I mean? Like you just want to eat dinner and go to bed.
Right.
So if we can have more months, and I understand the Earth still rotates on a tilt, so the days will still get shorter, but they're not going to go to where it's getting dark at 4 or 5 o'clock. It'll still stay light till 5 or 6 then.
Right. So that is what's coming up out of the government. I don't know if this will pass the House, especially with Marco Rubio's name on it.
It better. I swear to God, if they can't get this to go through, they can't get anything done.
It's a 50-50 shot right now because it was unanimous consent in the Senate.
But,
there were no votes.
I don't trust polls necessarily, but are there any polls of just random Americans? Like, what is the numbers on this? Do people want this?
Not that I've seen. I haven't seen any polling to go along with this. I just know that, again, it was unanimous consent.
People must want this. Like, I can't see any. Like, why would you not want this? I don't understand.
Because your days will get longer in the summer. It is interesting to note, by the way.
It's already going to be on summertime, so the days will be exactly the same in the summer. It's the winter time that you're going to get longer days.
Yeah, it is interesting to note that when Nixon did this, because I looked into this too, he kept us on standard time, not daylight savings time.
That's the problem. We need to stay on the summertime. That was the issue. That's why it didn't work out last time. That makes sense.
Are you guys ready for your second booster?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, 2 of them have come out now. Pfizer is now seeking authorization for a second COVID booster for people 65 and older, according to CNBC. So this is just going to be for the people in the at-risk category for now, because we know how that all goes.
I know you like to point out how old I am, but I'm not over 65.
I know. Pfizer and BioNTech are expected to seek authorization this week for a second pinko pox jab for people 65 and older, according to a person familiar with the plans. If the FDA grants authorization, the additional shot would go into a group of people who are among those with the highest risk of serious illness and death from the pinko pox. But going on with this, Moderna is seeking the authorization for everybody, all adults. No children yet, but all adults. CNN reports. Moderna announced Thursday that it's asked the FDA for authorization for a second booster for everybody 18 and older.
Yeah, I mean, people are sick of this. Even people that I spoke to a lot of people this weekend that I don't generally have a chance to speak to on a regular basis. And even the ones that did get the original vax and the booster and all of that, they're sick of it. They're done. They're not getting another one. Like, these are people who are rule followers who don't pay attention, and you know what I mean? Like, they're just not, they're not having it anymore. They're done. They're done with COVID.
I mean, we've already seen, like, what was it? Not Johnson Bank. One of the bigger banks out there has come out and said that, hey, no, we're not going to be JP Morgan, that was it. Hey, you know that rule that we had that you had to be vaccinated to work here? Yeah, we're repealing that. Yeah. JP Morgan has come out and said it. I mean, everything is going out here. Rand Paul actually proposed an amendment this week as well, going on with some of this here. Now, it's already sounding like St. Anthony of Fauci, hallowed be his name, the patron saint of medicine, may be retiring at this point because he's old.
Is he not already? I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
I just assumed he knew something about the Clintons.
But Rand Paul introduced an amendment to eliminate his position entirely.
Makes sense to me.
The amendment was not necessarily to outright fire the person, but to split the NIAID up into 3 groups: the National Institute of Allergic Diseases, the National Institute of Infectious Diseases, and the National Institute of Immunological Diseases, which would carry each one of them a new head who would be appointed by the Senate.
No, wait. This is going the opposite direction of less government. This is the wrong way. Like, let's just eliminate the position and then we don't backfill. Like, just leave it.
Yeah, you would have, I mean, it would be a lot of firings going on to eliminate the NIAID entirely instead of to split it up into 3 less powerful entities.
That's okay. There's a great job market right now. They can find something else. Maybe they could learn to code.
That's a possibility. The amendment has failed, so it's already done. It's already gone. There is a copy of the amendment there, but yeah, it went down to the Senate and it got obliterated. So it's not going anywhere, unfortunately.
Was that really only 8 pages long?
Yes.
Is that what I saw?
Yes, 8 pages.
That's amazing. Of course it failed. It needs to be at least 200.
Or what was it, 2,700 that the omnibus was?
Crazy. Yeah.
They tried to pull that same bullshit that they usually do around the omnibus packages where they say, oh, well, Republicans are asking Biden to do more and they voted against aid for Ukraine. I'm like, yeah, because you hit it in a fucking omnibus and you couldn't make a single item bill for it. Which I'd be against it anyway, but a lot of the people in Congress wouldn't.
Exactly, yeah. I'm sure they probably could have got that passed. We give aid to everybody and their mother. So, of course, they would have gotten that passed.
Well, you know those evil Republicans, they're against insulin. They're against low-price insulin.
They do this on purpose. Everything's an op, like I've said a number of times tonight. They do this so that way they have this stuff for the political ads to say, oh, like you were saying, oh, they're against aid to Ukraine. They're against insulin at a reasonable cost. This is what they do. This is how they do it. This is how they do.
Speaking of COVID is back. China's experiencing a new outbreak and a new variant. And appropriately locking down hard. Like, they're not allowed, they're in households that are affected with COVID, or in cities where there's an effect of COVID, it is one person is allowed out for an hour a day per family to go get food.
This isn't real. I'm sure this is happening, but this is not real. How many people have died from this? None? Of course not. Nobody's died from it yet. This is the normal flu. This is the normal flu that would have been here in 2022, whether COVID-19 happened or not.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to come back and look at this. The new variant that they're talking about is recorded 51 million cases. No deaths, it looks like. It looks like it's happening in Hong Kong. But yeah, they're going through they're going through and, yeah, essentially doing like they did before, welding people into their apartment. And Twitter has become a light with this, telling us that COVID isn't over and you should still be wearing your mask. And
No. You should have never been wearing a mask. And COVID is over. This is the normal flu. This is not even as bad as the normal flu. Normal flu kills people. This hasn't killed anybody. It's fine. You're fine. Go about your day. Nothing to see here.
do you think it could come back, though, politically?
No.
You don't
People
think?
are fed up. People are very fed up. People who you wouldn't think are fed up are fed up. They're done with COVID. I don't think it would have the support on the left that it used to. There's obviously crazy outlier people, like the make mask, like that protest we watched a few weeks ago. Yeah. There was like 10 people. Like, it's people are sick of this. All of my family from Chicago was down here this weekend. People are sick of this shit. Yeah. I have a cousin that I spoke to that sued their school board. They're a teacher. They sued their school board to not have to wear masks and for their kids not to have to wear masks and for her to not get a vaccine, and won against the governor. So people are sick of it. They're done.
Now, one of the questions that I had with this, and I think this will be the last thing before we head out and do Surprise Stupidity, is do you think China is doing this politically? Because remember, they stopped reporting because they had to tell us that they beat COVID. Do you think they could be doing something to try to weaken the faith in the U.S. election? Because now you know that they're going to be... I think it's more than the people that you think that it's going to be, but there are going to be people out there that say that we have to stop life again. And this is our reason to bring communism in and progressivism and this and that next thing.
Are you suggesting that this is Chinese misinformation?
I would say no such thing, Susan Wojcicki.
Yeah, this could totally be a political play. There's always an ulterior motive to everything that you hear. Every line that somebody's feeding you, there's a motive behind it. And it
especially
could be
when it's coming out of China, I've noticed.
Yes, yeah, China. There's this definitely could be a possibility that they are trying to mess around with our elections for sure. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think it's going to work because I think people are sick of this shit.
Well, we will have to see, and we'll have to watch. In the coming weeks, we will know whether or not it's returned or whether or not we are back to business as normal.
Yeah.
All right. That's all that I have for the regular news today, but you want to hear something really fucking stupid?
Yes, always.
I am so glad I carried this segment over from the other show because it's always entertaining no matter what. Are you ready? This one comes to us from The Blaze.
Okay.
Let's get the screen up here and let's go. Man reportedly calls 911 asking deputies to test his meth, alleging his dealer cheated him. They happily oblige and place him under arrest.
I believe this. I believe this happened. I've been to Florida. I've met meth heads. Yeah, the cops have the equipment to do that, so I can see where his train of thought was. But unfortunately, he was high when this happened, and it didn't work out. But great news. Turns out the meth was real.
Yes, authorities in Hernando County, Florida couldn't believe their ears last week when one resident called 911 with undoubtedly one of the strangest requests they've ever received. At approximately 7 p.m. on Thursday, an adult man called police dispatchers to request that deputies come to Spring Hill, to his home, to test the methamphetamine he had recently purchased from his drug dealer, police said. Thomas Colucci, 41, was apparently suspicious that his dealer had cheated him by selling him fake meth and was eager to see if his hypothesis was correct. Needless to say, the deputies happily obliged. At what point is this entrapment?
This is not entrapment. He called them.
I understand that, but...
This is not entrapment.
This person is obviously not in a mental state to give proper consent to a search.
That's because the meth was real.
The bizarre incident was documented in a post of the Hernando County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. In the post, the Sheriff's Office recounted that upon arrival, deputies conducted an interview with Colucci, during which he freely admitted to them that he'd recently purchased the meth from a male he met in a local bar.
There's your first problem.
However, he said after having used some of it, he came to believe the contents were not meth, but actually bath salts. He told deputies he knew this because he was an experienced drug user who had used... This guy needs a lawyer. Who had used meth before and knew what it should feel like. Colucci then produced 2 small baggies, each containing a white crystal-like substance, and gave them to the deputies. He reportedly claimed that he wanted his stash tested so that others wouldn't go on to purchase fake meth from the same individual who sold it to him.
This man is a hero. He's looking out for the little guy. I think we need to start a bail fund for this. Some sort of legal defense fund? Something. He was trying to do a good deed.
Nevertheless, deputies performed a field test on the samples, and Colucci's surprise, both came back positive for meth.
And I believe, well, laws may be different in different places, but from experience, I believe in Illinois, or used to be in Illinois, even if you have drugs that aren't drugs, but you think they're drugs, you can still get arrested for it. Like, for instance, if you had a bag of oregano, that you purchased a bag of oregano thinking it was weed and it's not, I think you can still get arrested for that.
Well, there's
I mean,
intent, so.
I've never done drugs. I would never, but I'm just saying I know a thing or two about a thing or two because I know people. But honestly, this poor guy, I really do feel bad for him. First of all, he's obviously got a drug problem that he should probably address. But does sound like he was honestly trying to do a good deed so other people wouldn't get ripped off. It really sucks to get ripped off when you're trying to buy drugs. Not that I would know, but it sucks.
Do you actually know anybody who did the oregano thing? I mean, I've heard about it in sitcoms, but I don't know anybody who's actually fallen prey to that.
No, I don't know anybody who's fallen prey to that. It doesn't smell anything like... I'll tell you the story I'm talking about off air.
All right, that's all that I have here. Let's see what these guys had to say through the last little bit of this here. Matt Ryan apparently may get traded, or he did get traded for a third-round pick. So, again, haven't watched football since the Jacob Blake riots, honestly. And even then, like, I was the guy back when I lived in Kenosha and back when I first moved up here, where I would sit and watch all the games on a Sunday. I would just clear my schedule for Sunday and watch all the games.
And then they started putting people's names on the backs of the helmets, and then you stopped watching football.
Well, when they started doing the flag thing, I rescinded myself to only watching the Packers. When they started doing like the kneeling for the stuff for that, it was I went from watching every team to only watching the Packers because gosh, I love the Packers.
Go figure.
But then once they did the St. Jacob thing, I'm like, no, I can't give Goodell any more of my money or any more of my time or let him earn any more of my commercial revenue.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. Fuck that. So no, I haven't watched a football game since St. Jacob got shot.
I never really did watch football, but the minute I saw those names of people who pulled weapons on police officers and got shot, and they're holding these people up as martyrs in the NFL, like I just don't know how anybody could like still give them their advertising dollars, and like it's so bad.
It wasn't about the martyrdom for me, honestly. It was about the political lesson. Like they're preaching politics and BLM on the field, and I'm like, I deal with this because I do a morning show every day and a night show once a week. I deal with this constantly. When I want to sit down and watch football, I just want to turn my brain off and watch steroided up fucking gorillas. I probably shouldn't use that term because that has a different implication than what I meant it to.
Oh, you're in trouble now. You think what I say is bad. You just got your channel like blasted off of YouTube with that kind
Probably. And I didn't even mean it that way. I didn't realize that until it came out of my mouth. But I mean, these gigantic 300-pound steroided up guys throw a ball around. I don't want a political lesson at the time. I just want to watch athletes play football. That's it. And turn my brain off.
Yeah, I couldn't get into the Olympics this year for the same reason because of the commentary over it was just all political bullshit about China and the Uyghurs and this. I just want to watch the freaking Olympics. Stop it. I want to watch people who are at the top of their sport do the sport that I only watch every 4 years.
I want to just watch the football get played and listen to Jim Nantz and Tony Romo sit there and talk about the statistics and watch the people in the bar furiously start writing. Even though most of them have no idea what those statistics mean. Let's see. Quest Fanning says Gina, and I don't know what he means by that.
I was asking him about that person. Is her name Gina?
No, it's Mira. It's Mira.
Well, apparently he's going to hook you up with somebody named Gina, too. So, congratulations.
Ben Wild says, I'm willing to compromise. Put Jesse and Hunter in lockdown together with drugs.
I mean, two birds.
Yeah, if you can't trust your drug dealer, who can you trust? Seriously.
I don't know anything about it. I've never done any drugs at all ever in my life.
Well, I guess with that, I think we're on stuff.
Oh, this is a fun show tonight.
It was. It was kind of lame that you knew about the surprise stupidity, but it was good that we had some commentary about it. So
You can blame Mr. Zed. He brought that to my attention like a week ago while we were sitting on the couch. I was minding my own business on Twitter, probably posting memes. And he's like, look at this shit. Yeah. It's all his fault.
Let's finish out the night. So, thanks everybody who came by and chatted with us in the live chat, kept us honest, kept us on point, kept us going, and defended me and my love for Star Trek as well. I will be back here tomorrow morning with more contemporary, so come back and hang out for more news, more headlines, and more commentary of what's going on in the world. You can find my wonderful co-host, KTZed. Well, tell them where they can find you and the next time you'll be appearing somewhere.
On Twitter at KTMamZ. No, KTZMam. Sorry, that was the one that got deleted. It's KTZMam. And I'm thinking the next time I'll be anywhere is going to be next Saturday, where I may be live streaming from a Trump rally. We'll see if we can get it to work.
We'll be talking about this too off mic, but you might be live streaming from this channel too.
Possibly. We're going to see if we can get the tech to work. So fingers crossed, everybody.
We'll see what happens with that. Otherwise, come back and join us both next week for more weekly roundup on the news. We'll probably be talking about the Trump rally. We'll probably be talking about more Ukraine. And we'll probably be talking about some more midterm stuff too. So come back and join us for that. But thanks for checking us out over here live. If you couldn't catch us live, catch us back on demand over on YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. Go check us out on all those platforms as well. And do make sure you guys go check out the start page for turnsofpagesproductions.com. Just a couple weeks and we'll be getting ready to go start launching for fundraisers. So definitely go and check that out. That's going to be a great time. And as I always say at the end of the program, never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find all the facts and draw your own conclusions. KTZed, lead them out with some last words.
Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Take care.